Antyakanda 2, chapter 8. We're in Jagannath Puri, it's summertime, Chandanyatra, and this is the evening pastimes of Jagannath, Balaram, Subhadra in the summer season. They refresh themselves by going for a wonderful boat ride in Narendra Sarovara. And Mahaprabhu has come from Gambhira, where he's been staying already in Puri, to come greet all the devotees led by Advaitacharya and all the devotees coming from Bengal and Shrikanta and Shantipur to spend time with the Lord in Jagannath Puri. We left off last week that in all this meeting of all the devotees and embracing each other, paying obeisances and dancing and hearing that, in that meeting of all the devotees there was such a manifestation of ecstatic love that not even a single person was unhappy. Hena se bhaila prema bhaktira bhakash. Hena nahi deki yara na haya ulas. So I guess this is the key to making everyone happy, is that everyone manifests love. If everyone, it says here, there was such a manifestation of ecstatic love, verse 100 in chapter 8. Prema Bhakti Prakash. That's pretty straightforward, anyone can figure that out. Prema Bhakti Prakash Sab Bhakti Ulas. They all felt satisfied, happy, joyful, buoyantly happy, not just, oh yeah, how are you, I'm happy. No, I'm happy. Like, thrilling, you're just pulsating, radiate. Because one thing, as I feel peace and contentment as a type of happiness, to feel peaceful or content within oneself, but to be buoyant and to be radiantly happy and just emanating happiness in all directions, and that's what ulas means. Anoa nahi deki jara nahaya ulas. No one has ever seen such a manifestation where not anyone was unhappy, because every single person was loving Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu was loving each and every devotee. So this is the keynote here, that we should love Krishna, and we should love each and every one of his devotees, and each and every one of his parts and parcels. The keynote is love makes everyone happy. Everyone's searching for happiness, and happiness is only found in relationship, a loving relationship with anything. We are living entities, human beings. We have impersonal relationships and personal relationships. Personal relationships are with living entities. And the more they're expressing their individual personal consciousness, the more personal those living entities are. So living entities in the human form are expressing the deepest and most variegated expression of emotions and love possible in this world, the human form. But living entities in the form of dogs or cats or birds, they're also living entities, and we can have a personal relationship with them because they're persons. That's part of the personal loving relationship with Supreme Personality of Krishna, Godhead, and all his personal representatives that are in living forms, expressing love to all of them. And then there's the impersonal loving relationships, loving nature. Nature, of course, ultimately everything is personal and everything is consciousness. But if we want to see that they don't really respond to our behavior, and they're passive recipients of our love, but they are also objects of our love and care and attention. The trees, the grass, the land, the sky, the earth, the rivers, the lakes. So it's personal love and transpersonal love. It's person to person, and person is impersonal love. Usually they say the impersonalists, they deny feelings and they deny. But the personalist, the Vaishnava, he loves all the manifestation of Krishna's personal manifestation and his impersonal manifestation. And ultimately, as I said, every single atom is personal consciousness, part and parcel of the Supreme Consciousness. Eko Unam Yovidati Kam. Nityo Nitinam Chetanas Chetanam. Everything is Chetana, Chitta. But here they were all manifesting love for the Lord, and He was receiving their love and spreading and sending forth His love to everyone in all directions. And no one has seen such happiness before. But this is what Krishna consciousness means, to spread love and to spread happiness. Prabhupada once said that our mission is to make the whole world happy. Vishwam Purnam Sukhayate. Not only the whole world, but the whole universe. Because this world, the earth planet, is a small speck of the universe. But there's millions of planets and so many demigods. So if we water the root of the tree, then thousands of branches and millions of leaves may be on that huge, unlimited banyan tree. But by pouring water in the central location of the root of the tree, the entire tree is nourished, satisfied, enlivened, sustained, and maintained. In the same way, when we center all of our attention and love and mentality and thinking and feeling and actions on God, Krishna, then all His expansions, Nitya Nityanas Chetanas Chetanam, that love is distributed everywhere. And then everyone becomes happy. Vishwam Purnam Sukhayate, the whole universe becomes full of sukham, happiness, vilas. And this is the Caitanya Mahaprabhu was a unlimited ocean of love with millions of waves going in all directions. And usually an ocean has waves which flow in one direction from the ocean to the shore. But Lord Chaitanya's ocean of love spread in all directions, and all 10 directions, 8 cardinal directions, and then Upar and Niche, so 10 directions, north, south, east, northeast, cardinal directions. So this is the ocean of Lord Chaitanya's love, that Prem Sagar. Waves and waves going in all directions, but then each, in that wave there are so many dancing particles of water. And those waves of love of God, each one of those dancing particles of water is a jiva. So when the waves of Krishna's Gauragas of love come out over a jiva, then he dances in those waves of love in his individual way. And then he becomes a part of that wave. He becomes one particle in that dancing wave of love. One particle. A particle in a dancing wave of love. You want a title? There's your title. A particle in a dancing wave of love. So this is Caitanya Mahaprabhu, so that when one is connected, Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate. What is love? What is prema? Is prema some unattainable, invisible goal 1,000 lifetimes in the future? Prema is based on the position of the consciousness and the heart, the alignment of the consciousness and the heart. What is the alignment of the consciousness and the heart? The sense of awareness, identity, and the sense of feeling, emotion, love. When the consciousness and the heart is lined up, then one can be an emissary of love, an ambassador of love. We may not be oceanic in proportion or influence, but in our own small way, because Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate. Caitanya Mahaprabhu gave love. He gave it, he said, this sampradaya is a sampradaya distributing love. Mahaprabhu has given it to every member of the sampradaya that surrenders to his lotus feet and dedicates his life to glorifying the Lord of love and distributing the glories of the Lord of love in so many ways, in so many forms. Through lecture, through kirtan, through bhajan, through behavior. We distribute love with just our behavior, with the people we move through the world, we distribute love. Love isn't you just sit in a class and you give prem kata. There's premachar also. Prem kata, premachar, actually the behavior of love. And then love includes many aspects of love. One is compassion. Karuna is part of prema. Because the original energy is prema shakti, and all these are other. Vidya is part of prema, karuna is part of prema, daya is part of prema. All these subsidiary energies or shaktis or emanations or expansions of Radharani. Prem Sarupini Radha. That's her shakti. So Radharani is karuna, she is daya, she is all these. Anugraha, everything, mercy, compassion, kindness. It's all coming from Radharani. So when one is carrying the love of Gauranga, Lord Krishna, then he exhibits all these aspects of Radharani's personality, or attributes. So this was not a single person was unhappy in that meeting. So here they are, they're meeting at the Taranala bridge, this 18-arched bridge over a river that's surrounding Jagannath Puri. Lord Chaitanya has greeted everyone and he's leading them. Welcome, welcome, swagatam, swagatam. And some cities and countries, you go to Europe, it says welcome to Zurich, Switzerland. When you leave the city limits and go to the next country, thank you for visiting Zurich. They have a sign like that. So they have a welcoming sign. So here it's personal. Mahaprabhu went, swagatam, welcome, welcome. Here's garlands, flower garlands. Here's chandan po. Here's Chandan, Mahaprasadam, all the things that devotees like. From Jagannath, this is, I'm welcoming you because you're my devotees, you're Gauranga Bhaktas. And Lord Jagannath is welcoming you because you're coming here to offer your love to him, so he's beat you to it. He's beat you to it. You're all coming here to offer your love to Jagannath. You're offering, you cook so many preparations to offer Gauranga, Lord Jagannath's Priya, Bhakta, and you come here and you're so many fancy kirtan leaders from East Bengal. And Shantipur, you come here to sing for Jagannath in his Rath Yatra and those 7 kirtan parties. And you come to dance for his pleasure much more stupendously and exuberantly than the Devadasis nightly dancing in front of Jagannath in the Gita Govind. And you come to glorify the Lord with so many stutis, and some of you, maybe Advaitacharya, who've just written a new prayer, Sanskrit prayer to Lord Jagannath. You're going to launch when you arrive before the Lord. And you stand before the Lord and recite your Sanskrit stuti and Jagannath Astakam or whatever you maybe composed on your way here. So all these services are waiting to be rendered by the devotees in that traveling party coming from Shantipur and Mayapur on the way to Puri. And they'll offer those services to the Lord and beg for His mercy and blessings. But before they could even offer any service, the Lord offered service to them, prasad seva, prasadi mala, prasadi chandan. And I'm about to speak of the Jagannath Prasad. So you're coming to offer your loving seva to me, and dancing and kirtan and stutis and pat and so many things, but I beat you to it. So the garlands, hundreds of garlands came out, Mahaprasadam, and then Lord Chaitanya draped them on everyone's neck, very lovingly, carefully, respectfully, honorably. And then he put chandan lepan and he decorated their flowers, because when you're walking your head gets hot and you get feverish. I want to speak of the fever of their excitement to meet Jagannath and Lord Chaitanya. So now Mahaprabhu says, Ataranala haite jasadanda haile Mahaprabhu ailaina narendra kule. Mahaprabhu personally led all the devotees from Ataranala to the bank of Narendra Sarovar. It took about 4 hours, although it's only about a half-hour walk. But you ever see the Jagannath Rath Yatra? It's only a couple of kilometers, but it takes 8 hours, 9 hours. They stop and they chant and they dance, and more chanting, more dancing, and more and more and more. And everyone's cheering Jagannath, move, move, come on, chakudol, chakudol, ow, ow, ow. And he's just sitting there. And then there's one man, there's a Sarati, he's Daruka. There's a wooden Daruka Murti there on the cart of Jagannath. And there's 4 horses, white horses I believe. And then there's the human person, the Brahmin or whatever, he has a little horse whip in his hand. He's a Auriyavasi. And then he's actually the chariot driver of Jagannath's chariot. He stands there, is usually short, like a jockey actually. Skinny and short, not like the other pandits who are quite healthy and stout. And then he leans over, he looks over the people and he says, hey you, he's speaking in Aryan language, with all Aryans there, and then pulling the cart. He said, you want this black one to go? You want to pull this black fellow? What do you think you can do? You think you can pull him? And they say, yes! And then he turns and says, Jagannath, they think they can pull you. There's the whole dialogue he does. A horseman. This devotee serves, he's a driver for Jagannath's cart. And Dharuka is also there in Murti form, but he's a living Dharuka, or whatever, three-dimensional. And he said, no, he's going to stay here for the night, so everyone just relax. No, come, Jagannath. And he has this dialogue, so you want the carts to move? And they say, yes. And he says, Jagannath. And then the gongs start going, dong, 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 dong. Then he says, all right, go. And when he says go, then Jagannath's cart moves. He's like so much into it with Jagannath. So Mahaprabhu was leading the way, but so like that, they didn't go very far. They went a little bit and stopped and chanted and danced. They went a little bit further and they stopped and chanted. Should we go forward? Maybe they went backwards. Because kirtan doesn't have any fixed direction. Kirtan doesn't have 4 speeds forward. The kirtan party can go in any direction. Sometimes the kirtan party is going down the street. And then they see some hall or something, some people here and there, and they just change their path and go right into the hall and have a kirtan. I've been so many times in spontaneous. And we're going on kirtan, okay, we're going to go here, from here to here, and down the sidewalk. And someone says, oh, well, there's some dormitories having a party, and let's go in the party. So then you go in the fraternity party, and you come in, Hare Krishna, what's this? And everyone starts dancing around. You end up spending an hour inside the fraternity house in the kirtan party, and in the Harvard Square or something in Massachusetts. And it's like this, so the kirtan party can go in any direction. So 4 hours it took them to get to Narendra Sarovar. Meanwhile, back at the temple, Hina Kali Rama Krishna Sri Yaksha Govinda Jalakili Kari Bhari Vaila Narendra. At that time, Balaram Krishna Govinda, the Vijay Vigraha of the Jagannath temple, they arrived at Narendra Sarovar for their boating pastimes and water sports. And then they describes about this program here. Hari Dwani Kolahala, Mridanga Kalahala, Shanka Peri Jayadhaka, Vajre Vishala. There was a tumultuous vibration of the chanting of Krishna's holy names, mixed with the sounds of mridangas, conch shells, kettle drums, and other large drums. And there must be conch shells there because it's Shank Kshetra. Jagannath Puri is called Shank Kshetra. It's even shaped, the overall shape from Bhuvaneshwar, Ekamara to Chilka Lake, Ekamara to Chilka Lake to Konark to Jagannath Puri. It forms these, when you join these points together, Ekamara, Bhuvaneshwar to Chilka Lake to Konark to Jagannath Puri, the outline of that, consider the larger holy Dham of Jagannath Puri is shaped like a conch shell. As this Brajmandal is shaped like a lotus, and Mayapur Dham is shaped like a lotus. But then so many conch shells wash up on the beach there also. So when you hear about kirtan parties described in Navadip Mayapur, you don't hear the conch shell word. There's mridangas, kettle drums, other large drums, but not conch shells. Sahasra Chatra Pataka Chamara Chaturdike Shobhakari Parama Sundara. The scene of the kirtan party with Mahaprabhu was beautified with thousands of umbrellas, flags, and chamaras on all sides. It was festive. This is the keynote. That a Sankirtan party with the Lord going there personally dancing, we may of course take a Vigraha on Shobhayatra, a parade, but even without the Vigraha, I know in the early days, at least my early days, And 74, 75, when I was on the street Sankirtan parties, Harinam parties in Los Angeles, there was many devotees carried flags, little skinny pole, flagpole, very thin with bright flags, just plain color, pink, green, yellow, blue, bright colors. And then there was small 1 by 2-inch sticks, like 1 inch by 2 inch, like thin sticks. And they would have posters from Spiritual Sky, or rather, BBT rather. BBT posters stapled, and they would just put the two together and stapled to the wood. It's almost like stretcher bars, that type of wood, that soft pine wood from the very lightweight. And they would have one side, they'd have stapled Prabhupada, and the other side is Mahavishnu. They had these posters like that. Or Radha and Krishna, they poster Radha and Krishna and the Sringadevi, Prabhupada, 5, 6. So you can flip it either way you want. So then the devotees, he'd lead the party with these posters. So that was like the Murti. That was the Chitra Murti, or picture Murti. And flags. And then so many devotees would carry a big pack of incense. Whole handful, 20, 30 incense, make nice incense, fragrance. And then, and light them as they would go. Because the Spiritual Sky Incense Company was there. So we had unlimited supply of incense. So this is the idea, when anyone, because there's different leaders in the audience, and they head up Sankirtan parties, so it's not enough to just get, oh, anyone have kartals? Oh, I have a pair. And Mridanga, there should be lots of kartals, lots of wampers, and as many Mridangas as possible. But then the extras, the whole fanfare, all these things are here in this Kirtan party for the pleasure of Caitanya Mahaprabhu. It's Gauranga Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan party. So in these teachings, these narrations, there's so many exchanges between the devotees and how they behave and how they feel. There's so many levels of teaching and experience here in these leelas. Really, they're meant for meditation. The highest end of any book of leela is not just the rasas you draw from that, or the teachings or the fine points of behavior, the ultimate experience of the pastime. And when one is on the level of bhava and prema, when he hears Caitanya Bhagavat or any leelas of the Lord, then he relishes and can taste actual ras. There's no tasting of ras without bhava. Well, that's your own ras. You have to have your foundation of ras within yourself in order to process and mix all the rasas to actually taste bhakti ras. So without the sthairati, one's permanent loving movement towards the Lord being established, there's no possibility of relishing, quote, the ras. So we would hear some novel description of rasa tattva, we hear rasa-filled pastimes with relishing. It's called rasa swadnam. Rasa swadnam, this bhakti ras, it's the combination of these 5 different bhavas. But the base, the pot which cooks all those, like you may have a pot, and inside that pot you put so many things to cook, and sabji and cheese and many things. So the pot, the cooking pot of all the rasas is the foundational ras, the sthairati. So at bhav that becomes established in a sufficient depth and shape by which all the rasas can mix in the pot. And then you can taste. So now we can just see that there's mridangas and conch shells and kettle drums, all kinds of drums. It says other large drums. I don't know if that includes this African drum that's snuck into, kind of snuck in. But I don't know if that's what Lord Chaitanya had in mind. But here's more description of the Kirtan party. It's we all around the world, we all go on Harinam Kirtan, and we can go out on the Kirtan and say, oh, where's the flags? There aren't any. Where's the posters or pictures? There aren't any. Where's the conch shells? Where's the kettle drums? Kettle drums, you have to have a whole cart to carry it out there. Kettle drums about 4 feet in diameter, and 2 feet high, and that'd be nice to put it on a cart. It's made of copper or brass, it used to be. And then big sticks and boom, boom, boom. That's like heavy drum. They wanted to make some big time sound. obviously Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan party made a lot of Haridwani, as it says here. You're saying noise, oh, you're making so much noise, but according to Caitanya Bhagavat, it is Hari Mahadwani. All 500 watts and 1,000 watts, whatever we can blast off. Because we don't have a kettle drum, so we have to put a microphone on our one mridanga and make it sound like a kettle drum. I think the keynote here is that it was raucous. It was awesome. It was uproarious. I mean, they wanted to make a significant impression on the environment. Let's put it that way. They wanted to make a significant impression on the environment on their way into Jagannath Puri. They wanted to turn heads, open ears, and enliven hearts, and make people join in and dance. Drop your knitting, drop your churning, drop your plowing, drop your eating, get out of your hammock, stop your sleeping, come, run out of the villages along the route to Puri temple and join Gauranga's Sankirtan party. But if they just walk by and say, shh, very quiet, everyone's sleeping, very quiet. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And 200 people slide by silently, village to village, for 3 or 4 kilometers to Puri temple. And who will know that you even passed by? Just like we're here in this Radhakund, right next to the Prikamar, and thousands and thousands and thousands of people file by our door. We don't notice them. They're not making any sound. At least audible sound. They're talking or whatever they're doing, chanting, sounding. Thousands. I don't get excited, I don't get curious, I don't get interested. But then I hear some huge sound, boom, boom, what's that? What is that? Who is that? What are they chanting? And then we're curious. When our senses become stimulated, then our mind becomes curious. Simple. You smell something tasty, then your mind becomes curious. Is that what I think it is? That smells like homemade bread. I remember walking to the railway station from Jagannath Temple, from the Chakratirtha Road, and I was walking along Chakratirtha, then I turned right and I went down. I'm working my way over to the train station and some new route, and then I went by some building with no sign out. Oh, it smells like fresh baked bread. And unmistakable, and I became curious, well, it would really be nice to find that bread. And maybe it'd be nice if it was whole wheat bread and we could offer it to Jagannath or whatever. So you become curious. So therefore, Uchai, Sankirtan is Uchai, it should be loud chanting. And we're walking on the Govardhan Prikrama, and we maybe walk faster than some, so we pass the slower moving traffic on the Prikrama. And we deliberately, we're chanting away from anyone that's quite silent, almost like audible. Then when I get near anyone, I say, Hare Krishna, deliberately, not to act as a sound to make them get out of the way, because I can maneuver without asking anybody to get out of the way. That's not my objective. But it's to, and I come on slowly, because there's different ways to chant to indicate. One is horn, if you want to make horn chanting. You want to chant the holy name to act as a car horn to get someone out of your way. That's one way. There's another way to chant Hare Krishna to try to wake them. The tone and the bhav in the tone and the bhav mixed in your tone of your voice actually is compassionate and inviting. You have compassion and invitation in your voice, and you're reaching out to them to remind them of the Maha Mantra. So the tone of your chanting will be gentle but forceful, compassionate but concerned, and directed to them. So, because we've been practicing this for quite a long time, so that when I say Hare Krishna, relishing also, but loud enough so they understand, oh, and they'll look at it and say, oh, he's relishing. I'm not commanding them. Hey, Hare Krishna! Or you call to find someone on the Parikram mark when you walk, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Oh, someone, big train's coming through. Mom, Mom. And I've been with people like that. Very crude and very rude. And not really the way to chant the holy name. Holy name is not to be used as a foghorn to remove the traffic from your railway track. So it's we're distributing love through the chanting of the holy name, and in any way we can distribute, we want to. And we find it is any Sankirtan devotee's experience. He finds let's say, forget about Sankirtan, because that always brings it with it. Oh, I'm not a Sankirtan devotee. I don't have books under my arm. I don't have a mridanga slung around my shoulders. Sankirtan devotee means someone that's involved in and loudly distributing love in all directions. The Sankirtan devotee is someone who is loudly, kirtan means loud, jap means inaudible, jap is inaudible. Loudly distributing love in all directions. San means sandig, all directions. Loudly distributing love in all directions. This person is a Sankirtan devotee. Sankirtan, Kirti, the name, fame and glories of the Lord. San, everywhere, in all directions. And Kirti means uchai, loudly, loudness, fame, the glorifying of fame. So it's so wonderful to hear about the Lord's Kirtan parties, because we're like following the Lord of Kirtan. Gauranga Mahaprabhu is the Lord of love. He's the Lord of Kirtan. And sometimes they have these phrases on the internet, Kirtan, Emperor of Kirtan, or something like that. You ever see? Kirtan Acharya, Emperor of Kirtan. Well, I always thought that we were Dasan or Dasa of Sankirtan. I didn't know that anybody became an Emperor of Kirtan, or the Raj of Kirtan. Kirtan is Madhur. There's no emperors there. There's no Rajas there. There's only Dasis. There's only praying Dasis. There's Kinkaris and Kinkar. Kinkaris and Kinkar. Nam Kinkaris and Nam Kinkar. The male servants of the holy name and the female servants of the holy name. Sankirtan, the king of Kirtan. King of Kirtan. Kirtan is the sweet glories of Madhurya Purushottam Sham, Madhurya Purushottam Gauranga, Gaurasundara. The king of Kirtan. How about the servant of the servant of the servant of Kirtan, the glories of Krishna. Maha Jaya Jaya Shabda Maha Hari Dwani. Oh, here's our Maha Hari Dwani. This means they have a sound system now. It was Hari Dwani, and now they hooked up a sound system, now became Maha Hari Dwani. Iha Bahi Arakon Shabda Nahi Shuni. No sound could be heard other than the loud chanting of Jai Jai Hari Hari. So that's wonderful. Everyone's cell phone was turned off. Everyone's cell phone was turned off in that kirtan party. You couldn't hear a cell phone mentioning which. Some of our radio culprits were turning their phones off. Rama Krishna Shri Govinda Maha Kutuhale Uttarila Asis Sabe Narendra Rakule. In this way, Balaram Krishna Govinda, the Vijay Vigraha of the Jagannath deities, they were brought to the bank of the Narendra Sarovar with great pomp. Actually, when you see there in Jagannath Puri, you've had the fortune to see this Chandan Yatra, we stayed sometimes, that whole time I was in Puri for 21 days. And around the evening time after sunset, 6:30 or so, they come out of the temple with a palanquin, and one palanquin, maybe two, I can't remember. But a palanquin, and on the palanquin are the Utsav Murtis of Jagannath Balaram and Matsya Bhadravas. And they have the one maybe one palanquin has the Panch Pandava, they have Utsav Murtis of the Panch Pandavas for some reason. Then they have Balaram, Krishna, Govinda, and Balaram. It's like this. And they carry them on these palanquins, and there's umbrellas over the palanquins, and they have these big bamboo, dried palm, big leaves, dried palm leaves, fans about 5 feet long, and they're fanning, and they're running, and the band is playing, and they're playing gongs, mostly gongs. And they're going down the street to Narendra Sarovar, where these 3 boats are waiting, these long black boats, and they put the deities on. Panch Pandavas on one, and they're all small murtis, they're about this. So this is the great ceremony and pomp. Jagannatha Goshti Sri Caitanya Goshti Sane Mishaila Tana O Bolila Sankirtane. The associates of Lord Jagannath and the associates of Chaitanya mixed together, and everyone forgot themselves in the ecstasy of Sankirtan. So apparently there's a Jagannath Goshti and a Chaitanya Goshti. There's different groups, Sri Chaitanya Goshti. So the Aryan Vaishnavas, the Aryan Bhaktas of Jagannath, they met the Gaudiyas. They had a common center of Jagannath. And they also must have been Lord Gaura's and devotees. Dui Goshti Ekohai Ki Hoilananda Ki Vaikunta Sukha Asi Hoila Murti Vanta. Such happiness was experienced, Anand, when the 2 groups joined together, that it seemed as if the happiness of Vaikunta had appeared in person. Vaikunta Sukha Murti Manta. Chaturdike Lokera Ananda Antanai Savakarina Karayana Chaitanya Gosai. Chaitanya Gosai personally enjoyed endless happiness and distributed that happiness to everyone in the 4 directions. Chaturdike Lok Ananda Antanai. So this is again, Vishram Purnam Sakayate. Happiness is Sukham, Anand. So Lord Chaitanya is distributing happiness in all 4 directions. Such a joyous, wonderful experience of Lord Chaitanya's life and teachings. When you think about he as the identity of Lord Chaitanya as the devotee of the Lord. Of course, he's Radha Krishna Yugal, but his identity as a devotee of the Lord, and preaching and distributing love of God, and telling people to chant the holy names, and writing about the Shikshastakam. And you compare the life and teachings of Lord Chaitanya, who was distributing love of God, and Lord Jesus, who was acting as a devotee of the Lord, Guru. And he came to distribute love of God, and he preached love of God, but his life was so much difficult, so much suffering and tortures. He went 40 days to the desert and fasted, and a very austere and difficult life he had. Although he was also preaching love of God and trying to distribute it, he was successful to a limited degree. Lord Chaitanya, when he came as a devotee of the Lord, in that aspect of himself, he was blissful, and everywhere distributing happiness and love in all directions. So apparently the time wasn't right when Jesus came. When Lord Chaitanya came, the time was right. And that same thing is here today, in 2000, let's say 500 years after Lord Chaitanya's advent. This feature of distributing happiness and love in all directions, which we mentioned earlier, is the whole purpose of Gaudiya Vaishnava religion. Other religions are distributed so that people pick them up, follow them, and get their own perfection. And in a limited way, that members of the Ramanandi Sampradaya, they preach to their children and relatives and others. But outreach and going out everywhere to everyone, this is the Gaudiya speciality. If you examine the Ram Bhaktas or any of the Bhaktas and Lakshmi and all the 4 Sampradayas, they're not outward mad about preaching and distributing. Like Lord Chaitanya was Sima Chaitanya, he was like a lion. He was roaring and running down the street practically to distribute love in all directions. And the Gaudiyas, you see the Gaudiya devotees, there's so much. Of course, there's Bhajanandis and Goshtinandis within our ranks. So some only do bhajan, but so many do the preaching Goshtinandi work. Whereas in the other sampradayas, everyone's a Bhajanandi. They give a class in their temples to the faithful in the congregation, and they initiate the children of their children, and it goes on like this. And somebody comes in, but running out to find, it says that Gauranga chases after the conditioned souls. He runs behind them. That's why this Vasu Ghosh or someone wrote a song with it. If Lord Chaitanya had not come, where would we be? If Lord Chaitanya had not come, where would we all be? We're all so indebted. The whole human race is indebted to Lord Chaitanya. We would perish and be lost. And you see that now, through the combined efforts of all the preachers going around the world of the Gaudiya Sampradaya, that all the young people of the world are interested in kirtan, Nam Kirtan, Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Hare Krishna mantra, huge popularity. So this is the massive distribution of happiness and love. People are finding out all around the world, in Europe and America. Okay, forget about all these strict regulative principles and sense control and even being a vegetarian, so many things that are required to actually properly execute spiritual practices to make tangible spiritual progress. But people are just taking it at this level, they're taking up kirtan. People are just sitting down doing kirtan, and they're feeling so much love coming inside of them, and so much happiness that they can't even conceive. And then that creates all the sakriti for them to go forward. That's why we say it's an offense to preach the glories of the holy name to the faithless. But anyone can hear the Sankirtan. And what happens is they develop their sakriti. By hearing the Harinam and engaging these kirtan functions, these non-devotees, let's say potential devotees around the world, they take up that bunch, and then through that medium, the holy name is giving them some happiness, and the holy name is giving them some love, an experience of love that they never found in any other avenue. And then that increases their eligibility and their sakriti to take up more, to get a book, to get a teaching, to get a lesson, to meet a devotee, and then you can preach to them. But now the people everywhere, you see that sometimes our sannyasis, they team up with other popular karmi singers and out there, and they do concerts, kirtan concerts, our sannyasis, with them. And because they're famous in their own way, so that these karmi singers, they're also doing some kirtan, they attract thousands of people to pay money, and then he joins up with some Hare Krishna sannyasi to share the venue. And so they hear some kind of a name from this popular singer, and then they hear the devotee hopefully singing Shuddhanam. So how much benefit they get. This is Gauranga Mahaprabhu's mercy. So everyone's forgetting themselves in the ecstasy of Sankirtan. This is the way to forget yourself. The way to forget yourself is to experience ecstasy in Sankirtan. Actually, when we're not in Sankirtan, we're very much in ourself. We very much remember ourselves. And unless we're self-realized, the self that we're operating on is not very, let's say, agreeable. But when we become a realized self, then we can revel and relish our own experience of our own self-realization, realization of the self, Atmaramata. But until that glorious moment comes, we're very much absorbed in what we are and who we think we are, and what we are. A misidentity of the self. But they forgot themselves in Sankirtan. Bulila Sankirtan. Everybody, Bulgaya, they forgot themselves. And They're experiencing happiness in 4 directions. Ram Krishna Sri Govinda Utila Nokaya Chaturdiki Bhaktagan Chamara Dulaya. The Balaram Krishna Govinda, the Vijay Utsav Murtis, they are placed in a boat in Narendra Sarovara. While devotees on all sides fan them with chamaras. I think there's a shortage of chamaras these days. Because when we were in Puri and they were on the boat, they didn't have any chamaras. And generally they used to have oil lamps on the boat so you could see them, because it's all dark around the Narendra Sarovar. Even now there's no public lighting. And they would have oil lamps so you could see the murtis and the pandas and the boats moving. So now they have these emergency lamps. These little lamp on with a battery attached to it. It's aimed towards the deity. It looks so funny. Emergency lamps on Jagannath's boat. So, like this. Ram Krishna Shri Govinda Nokaya Vijay Dekhiya Santosh Shri Gauranga Mahashaya. But what I'm saying is, on all sides around the murtis, not anyone had a chamara. We were just sitting there. And there wasn't any singing on the bank. There was some kirtan parties of different devotees. So the grandeur and the opulence of Jagannath's, let's say, boat ride is somewhat reduced in the modern age, at least externally. Ram Krishna Shri Govinda, I said that. Gauranga felt satisfied in seeing the boat festival of Balaram Krishna Govinda. Prabhu Sakala Bhakta Laya Kutuhale Janpadiya Parilena Narendra Jale. Gauranga and his devotees all joyfully jumped into the waters of Narendra Sarovara. So after the deities of Krishna Balaram, which means Jagannath and Baladev, and then Govinda, they have a separate deity of Govinda representing Krishna, the Vrindavan. So after the Lord rides in the water, then all that water is considered like Mahaprasadam. So then they can play in it. Oftentimes I've seen in Puri, you may not believe this, but I've seen in Puri on the beach that someone brings their deity, Gopal or something like this, and they go down to the water's edge, and right before they enter the water breaks and they put the deity down on the sand so the water can just come up this sand and wash over Gopal's feet. And then they put the deity back in the basket and back on the dry sand with their relatives. Then they go swimming because they consider that now the water's been offered to their Gopal. This is their bhav. So the bhav is like this, that devotee doesn't want to relish anything that's not first offered but to the Lord, even a bath in the ocean. Of course, in the scriptures it says that if you can't bathe in the Ganga or Jamuna or Kaveri or Jamuna, Om Gangecha, Jamuna Chaka, Godavari, Saraswati, Narmada, Sindhu, Kaveri, all these different sacred rivers of India, if you can't bathe there or get purified by that bath, then you can bathe in the ocean in Jagannath Puri. It's called Mahodadi. It's called Mahodadi. It's a great tirtha place because the Ganga enters into the ocean, the Ganga Sagar, and all the sacred rivers eventually enter the ocean, which appears there. And of course, the Gauranga bathes there, and all the deities in Puri, when they changed the big deity, all the people in Puri have their family deities, they put them Visarjan. They immerse them into the ocean. They ask some fishermen, they all paddle their Jagannath Murtis up on the fishing boats, and the fishermen go out there some distance, and Jagannath goes scuba diving there. They put him inside. He goes inside the ocean, and then they wash up sometimes on the beach. I remember I was walking on the beach one night, and I saw glittering in the water's edge late at night. It was maybe full moon night, and I was walking. And I saw something shining, and what is this? And I looked, and it was a murti of Jagannath on the beach. And he was about 15 inches high, tall or whatever. So I dug him out of the sand. It was shining, so I took him out of the sand, but he didn't have his arms weren't there. So I took him to one saint there, one Gaudiya saint that I knew, and I said, I found this deity, is there some significance of that? What does it mean? And he said, well, this is a time, it hasn't happened in 18 years, it usually happens in 12 years, but this time Jagannath deity hasn't been changed for 18 years, so all the villagers also changed the deity. And they're mourning also, because when they change the deity, they consider they lost a relative. And all the ladies were black, and they mourn. They do mourning for 2 weeks, and no one eats anything but spiceless khichdi and many things. It's a very human-like experience that Riyan Bhaktas have in their Ragmarg, Nara, Leela, human-like relationship with Jagannath Ji. So because they feel that Jagannath, that was their relative. Now there's a new Jagannath, like a new baby Jagannath is appearing when they carve a new one. It was after 18 years, this particular year. So many, everyone had their relatives, Jagannath, they put in Visarjan in the ocean and made a new one. But until for some time they mourned over the loss of Jagannath. They didn't immediately have a new deity for 2 weeks or so. They were mourning over the loss of a relative. This is Ragmarg, it's inconceivable to us. But they have so much this personal, human-like mood towards Jagannath. I found this deity and the saintly person said, well, the arms are washed off in the ocean, I suppose, and so it really can't be worshipped. I said, what should I do? And then he said, this doesn't mean anything. And he said, it just means the deity washed up. I said, okay, fair enough. I said, what should I do? Should I worship him? He said, no, you can't worship him. But I have a carpenter friend coming from Calcutta for the Rath Yatra, he can put new arms on. So I said, no, that's nice. And so you come back after Rath Yatra. So I came back after Rath Yatra. I said, you have that Jagannath deity? I thought he would be with me. No. So he said, yes, he put the arms on, but he looked so good, I decided to keep him. He looked so good, and I decided to keep him. He put new arms into Navakalevaram. They have like this, Navayoga, it's called Navayoganam, where he gets a fresh look, so to speak. And there's a whole process how they do that. So then that saint kept him. So I thought, well, okay, I guess Jagannath wants to stay in Puri, he doesn't want to come to Vrindavan. So my mind is kind of going to my Puri memories. Prabhu Sakala Bhakta Lai Kutuhale. So now what happened, Gauranga and all the devotees joyfully jumped into the waters in Narendra Sarovara. Shunamai, Sri Krishna Caitanya Avatar, Ye Rupe Narendra Jale Karila Vihar. This chapter 8 of Antyakanda part 2 is called The Water Pastimes, Narendra Sarovara Jal Keli Leela. This is the title of the chapter, Narendra Sarovara Jal Keli Leela. The water pastimes of Gauranga and Narendra Sarovara. So the Lord is enjoyed, now all the devotees with Lord Gauranga are enjoying. So first Krishna's pastimes and then Gauranga's pastimes, they're going back to back. And then when Gauranga, it's so interesting because Krishna and Balarama came and had water pastimes like they do in Yamuna or anywhere, Bhavan Sarovar. And then Gauranga came afterwards and he went to the same Sarovar, Narendra Sarovar, and he's having pastime with Gaur Bhaktas and Gaur Leela. Now Vrindavan Leela was just enacted. Krishna Balarama's boat ride with Govinda, or Krishna Govinda, the Vijay Murti, that's Braj Leela, Narendra Sarovar, Vrindavan Leela. Vrindavan Leela just moves a little bit this way, then it becomes Gaur Leela, and the same Yamuna, and the same Parishad, and Govinda's there, but now Govinda's Mahaprabhu. And then Krishna and Balarama, they're also there, Balarama is Nityananda, everyone's there in the same Narendra Sarovar, now it becomes Gaur Leela. Then Gaur Leela, you see in the context of Gaur Leela, then Gauranga Mahaprabhu, he goes back into Vrindavan Leela, and they're splashing water. He starts remembering the water splashing pastimes in his smaran. So Krishna Leela becomes Gaur Leela becomes Krishna Leela. As this goes back and forth. So here are the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya, the waters of Narendra Sarovara. And here you have it. Purve Yamunaya Gena Shishugana Meli Mandali Haya Karilena Jalakeli. And previously, the Lord and his coward boyfriends formed circles and enjoyed water sports in the Yamuna. So now Gaur Leela has become previously Purva. Here the pastimes performed by Sri Krishna Chaitanya in the waters in the Narendra Sarovar. And immediately he starts talking about Sri Krishna Balaram and the Yamuna. Se rupe sakala Vaishnav gana meli paraspara kaligari haila mandali. In the same way, Gauranga and his devotees now form circles in the water by holding each other's hands. So there are circles of devotees, and when you have the circle, it's called a splashing circle. It's called a fighting circle. Like you may have a wrestling arena, and then two men pair off in different corners. So that if you look in any direction, you see 6 or 8 different pairs of men wrestling in one big wrestling arena. There's all circles that are in the water. This circle was the younger Gaur Bhaktas, and this circle was similar adhikar and similar respectability. They were recognizing that. You'll hear about that. Gauradeshi Jalakeli Achi Kaya Name Se Jala Krida Arambilene Pratame. All the Gauranga Bhaktas with Mahaprabhu in the lead, they began their water sports, Jal Krida, with one well-known Bengali water sport named Kaya. Kaya. Sounds like that to eat a gorilla. Krishna Leela was saying, Kila. Kaya Bali, Kaya Bali, Karatali Dena Jale. Kaya Bali, Karatali Dena Jale. Jale Vadya, Bhajayena, Vaishnava Sakale. Kaya Bali, Karatali Dena Jale. Very nice. The Vaishnavas called out, Kaya! They clapped their hands in the water and produced musical sounds by hitting the water in a certain way. You ever done that? You top, and then you go like that. Tom, top, two, and psh. You go like this in the stroke with your finger. Psh, tom, top, two, psh. Like this. It's late. Anyway, it could be early also for very long. So they're having this wonderful water sports. Gokulera Shishupha Haila Savar Prabhu Haila Gokulendra Avatar. All the Gauranga Bhaktas became absorbed in Brajavav. Gokul Bhav. Gokul Shishubhav, the Bhav of a young boy of Gokul. Gokul Balak Leela. Bali Leela. And Gauranga accepted the Bhav, Krishna Bhav, the Lord of Gokul. There you have it. Gaur Leela, it's just a change of Bhav. One Bhav, you're in Gaur Leela, one Bhav, you're in Krishna Leela. Same form. You're in Sadhaka Bhav, Sadhaka Rup Bhav, and you're in Siddha Rup Bhav. The Bhav transports a person to different Leelas. The Bhav. So by Shish Gokul Bhav, then they're sitting in Puri and grown-up men's forms and Brahmas and Pandits forms of Gauranga Bhaktas. They're in Gaur Bhav, Gauranga Bhav. And they simply changed Dayala Bhav. They changed their Bhav. And immediately, they're not in Narendra Sarovar anymore, they're in Yamuna. And they're not Pandits and Gosais and Gadadhar Pandit and Jagannatha Pandit and Gangadas Pandit. Now they're Balaks, they're Gwalas. They're coward Braj Gwala. They're coward boys of Braj. Gokulera Shishu Bhav. So now we're in Sadhaka Bhav, and we're in this Sadhaka Rup, and we're doing service to Guru Vaishnava Hari. And then we do meditation, and we enter a different Bhav, and Siddha Bhav, as Mantri or as a young Brahmin boy, and then we do service there. And that we meditate in our bhav, then we enter into that thought, and that feeling, into that place. This is what's going on here. Bhaya nahi karo sabe ananda vival, nirvaye ishvara dehe sabe dena jal. Overwhelmed in ecstasy, the devotees forgot everything and fearlessly splashed water on the Lord. So there's no high and low here. There's not even equality. In this coward boys, there's some characteristics of the bhava of the coward boys in relation to Krishna. They feel, I'm equal to you, Krishna, I'm better than you. So this is the bhava that the coward boys can feel. The das is Patrak and Rakta. Payoda and these different household servants, they can never think, I'm equal to you, Krishna, or I'm better than you. Krishna, you're not a big man, I'm a big man. I've defeated you so many times, and you have to carry me on your shoulders. How do you say you're a big man? So this is their bhava, where they feel like this. So, okay, we're splashing water on each other, coward boy to coward boy, we're splashing on Krishna too, heavy dose, right in your eyes. Hey, stop, it's not fair in the eyes. Wow, there's no rules in this game, my friend. Protect yourself or get splashed. So we'll continue there on Tuesday, I suppose. Well, they fearlessly, because you see, it says, Nirbhaya, there was no fear, because in this love, the Sakyarati, the coward boys, there's Gaurava, Saka, and then Sakiras, Vishramba, Sakiras. And in Vrindavan is Vishramba, they're so heart intimate. And Gaurava Sakiras, there's some friendship but some reverence, some respect. Like Arjuna, he's in Sakyarati, but some respect. And because of that distance, you can become sometimes lose your mood of friendship and cower in fear before your friend if he shows some virata rupa or something. Because there's some certain respect and subservience to the friend in that relationship of Gaurav. But in Vishramba, the coward boys, they ride on his shoulders, take his food, steal his clothes, do anything. There's nothing, no holds barred, as they say. We can read a little rendition of this in English to get a little different flavor of the same pastime. Hundreds of thousands of people celebrated the joy ride of Sri Madan Mohan, that's the specific name of the Govinda deity, and Sri Baladev upon his boat, and entered the water in great jubilation. The householders, sannyasis, and brahmacharis all mingled together, enjoying the water sports in Narendra Sarovara. However, such was the influence of Maya, the deluding potency of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna Caitanya, that unqualified persons were not allowed to enter the circle of Vaishnavas, nor could they see the Vaishnavas' transcendental activities. Those with insufficient piety and good fortune are ineligible to enter the company of the followers of Sri. So this is a rendition of the same thing we heard. Still dancing and performing Sankirtan, the Vaishnavas followed Lord Chaitanya. He led them into the city of Jagannath Puri. Whosoever saw them was spontaneously attracted and experienced joy under the influence of the prema bhakti that exuded from each Vaishnava. Credit. Remember. Depiction here. Whosoever saw that Sankirtan party walking with Mahaprabhu, they were spontaneously attracted and they experienced joy under the influence of the prema bhakti that exuded or emanated from each Vaishnava. They had walked but a short distance from Ataranala when they reached Narendra Sarovara. Right at that moment, the festive procession carrying Sri Madan Mohan on palanquins arrived at Narendra Sarovar Lake on the occasion of the Chandan Yatra, Jagannath and Baladev. Amidst loud chanting, the blowing of conch shells, the rhythmic beat of mridanga drums, the clanging of cymbals and the high-pitched sounds of reed instruments, the procession halted on the banks of the lake. Hundreds of colorful festoons and flags were flapping in the wind. Many priests were fanning the deity of Lord Madan Mohan with chamara and peacock fans. The only audible sound was a combination of many instruments and loud voices, all reaching a crescendo as the party of Sri Madan Mohan mingled with the Sankirtan party of Sri Gaurasundar. Now the Sankirtan party swelled in ranks as everyone joined in the jubilant chanting. The excitement and ecstasy were palpable, as if the bliss had been personally transported from Vaikuntha. All this was taking place simply by the transcendental arrangement of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Madan Mohan, which is the festival deity of Jagannath, and Sri Baladev were placed on the boat as the devotees fanned them with chamaras. The Supreme Personality of Sri Krishna Chaitanya was greatly satisfied to observe the boating pastimes of Sri Madan Mohan and Sri Baladev. Lord Gauranga and his devotees then dived into Narendra Lake. Now listen attentively how Gaurasundar sported in the water of Narendra Sarovar. Just as in his previous incarnation of Sri Krishna, the Supreme Lord Gauranga, the Supreme Lord as a child, had sported in the waters of the river Yamuna with his young friends by holding hands and forming circles. Similarly, he now sported with all the Vaishnavas, holding hands and forming circles in Narendra Sarovar. In Bengal, people play a certain game in the water known as, here it says long A to begin with, Kaya. The other one says long A at the end of Kaya. Kaya. And this was the first game the Vaishnavas played. They called out Kaya, Kaya, while clapping their hands upon the water's surface. This sounds like a musical instrument. The Vaishnavas were overcome with the spiritual mood of the young cowherd boys of Gokul, and the Lord was their master, the Prince of Gokul, Gopal. All the Vaishnavas were experiencing great ecstasy and they became oblivious to the external world. Without fear and inhibition, they began to splash water upon the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. So that concludes our description of the Lord's Leela, the beginning of his Narendra Sarovar Jal Keli Leela. Very wonderful experience of being with the Lord. How much we can surrender, how much we can envision, and how much mercy comes into our heart. To that degree we can experience this pastime when we read it or hear it from these sacred shastras. Hearing is seeing. Hearing is feeling, hearing is experiencing, hearing is seeing. But that depends on the degree of bhav and bhakti in the heart. How much you feel what you read, how much you see what you read, how much you experience what you read. Someone, a very advanced devotee, may read about Krishna's pastimes, and due to the prema in their heart, that prema will propel them directly into the pastime, pravesh, Leela pravesh. They can enter that pastime, go into room by room, step by step, danda by danda, moment by moment, move in that pastime, Swarasiki. It's called Swarasiki Upasana. On the wings of their prema, they can fly into the Leela and see it unfold before the eyes of their heart. Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanina. That's called immersion. Full immersion in the Leelas of the Lord. But we have to have the adhikar to do that. That's prema. Then we hear, we have some impression, or some idea, vague notion, and a half hour we forget. Whatever we heard or read today, tomorrow we'll have forgotten. Such is the Kali Yuga. But the Prema Bhakti doesn't forget, because Krishna is with him. So everything is close in his memory. His memory and the pastime become one. He's not trying to remember the pastime becomes part of him. So Risiki, you don't have to remember. It's like you go swimming. I went swimming once in the Ganga, then I came out and sat on the bank, or I lived nearby. I remember the time I swam in the Ganga, and I think about it. But if you're in the Ganga, and you're always flowing down the Ganga, then you don't have to worry about remembering the Ganga. You're in the Ganga. So if you're in the Leela, and you're flowing with the Leela, it's Sodasiki meditation. Moment by moment, the memory, the Leela, the Prema, it's all one. You're in the Leela, you're there. And serving also. There's no question of much memory then anymore, that's Samadhi. I remember the Leela. But that's memory, there's 5 steps of memory, and then Samadhi is immersion, then Smaran stops, now it's Samadhi. Leela Samadhi. Smaran's the beginning. Then Dhyana. Samadhi, you're there, that's Prema. You give up the body and take birth in Vrindavan. Now you remember you're in it. Just a matter of when you're called on the stage to play your part. It's the man who's waiting off stage is also in the play. He's just waiting for his time to speak in that play. So when one appears in Vrindavan, they're in the Leela. The Leela's going on, they're in the Leela. But the Purvarag has to develop, some more training is required. So they're off stage, they're in the wings of the drama stage. But they're in the Leela, they're flowing with it, hearing about it, they're taking part in their own way. Singing about it, hearing about it. And then finally they're moving in it, fully in it. Ashtakaliya Leela. Moment by moment, danda by danda, 60 dandas. 60 24-minute periods in a day. Radha Krishna's day is not divided into 24. Oh, what are you doing this 12? This 9 to 10, I'm doing this, 10 to 11. We divide our day into 24 hours. 10 o'clock sleeping, 4 o'clock rising, or whatever. Working, playing. But Radha Krishna's day is divided in 60 dandas. What are you doing from 10 o'clock to 10:24? What are you doing from 10:24? That's quite a packed day. Inconceivable number of leelas in any given day. This is the unlimited nature of the spiritual kingdom. Caitanya Bhagavat ki jai.